That's all there was. I still have that big scar on my left knee.
I'll teach you to whittle.
I'll teach you to whittle.
We'd ask you to show us the scar, but we wouldn't be able to see it on tape.
That's a good point. Good point.
Gary never misses those good points. Let's go back to Franklin and tell us about your brothers and sisters. Sister.
No,
You were the oldest.
yeah. There were four of us. I was born October the 14th, 1917. Liv was born November the 18th, 1918. Charlie was born January 25th, 1920. And Bill was born September the 27th, 1925.
Remember any good stories about any of them? I'm sure you do. Doesn't have to be when they were kids.
Well, we were average kids and never got into any trouble.
Not even Bill?
No. And,
Bill was the baby like me. He was perfect.
yeah.
By the way, his name was Press. You Fresh?
Fresh.
Fresh.
That was, yeah, what was Grandpa's names for you?
King Richard.
He called me Hortons.
Portons.
And Liv was Pullet. And,
He was showing off his college education, wasn't he?
yeah, that's a grilled chicken. Pullet. Charlie was perfect. And Bill was precious. Hortons, Pullet, perfect.
That was funny. Yeah.
And we know that Charlie's still living out in California.
Yeah,
Liv and Bill has both died.
yeah.
Why don't you talk a little bit about, what happened to them? Liv died a long time ago.
Yeah. She got married and I think it was 48. And he had a daughter, Nancy, who was born on Liv's birthday, November the 18th, 1949. And then she had a little boy, Tommy, who was born in 1955, I think. And he was injured at birth. And but he lived to be 7 years old. And he died in 1962. He was fed all of his life through a tube down his nose. Always had a smile on his face. Never made a noise. You could hear him laugh though. And the injury was through his spine. So, but he was bent over backwards. He couldn't lay straight. His spine was curved. And Liv came down with breast cancer. And she was operated on. And everything looked good for a while. But It got her in, I don't know how many operations she went through. She died in 1963, 1 year after little Tommy died. And she was 44 years old at the time. And wonderful sister, really was. And Bill, the youngest, he died in 1991 on Father's Day, which is June the 16th that year, same as it is this year. And your mother and I just got back from our 50th wedding anniversary. We had gone down to Kentucky where we went. And on June the 14th, 1941. And today happens to have been our 61st anniversary. But we only made it to 53. I was lucky to be married to her for 53 years. A wonderful gal. See, my mother died September the 5th, 1946. And Dad died June the 8th, 1974. So right now, I'm the oldest one in the whole family. And I don't know where in the hell all the time is going. It just flies. Can't believe it.
What did Grandma and Grandpa die of?
Well, my mother had high blood pressure, and she knew from about 1937 that her time was limited, and she had written instructions down for her funeral. And Liv knew where all this information was. And I remember there were 3 of us in the service during World War II, and we had a family reunion in July. I forget the exact date, 1946. And after that, she made a trip to Augusta Springs that she always used to after they were all gone. And her dad died in 1947. And so she went back to visit her mother, and quite often 1 or 2 of the sisters would be there. And they'd always stock them up with groceries and stuff. And she came back, and that's when we had the reunion. And she had a terrible headache that whole day. And she spent a lot of time in bed with headaches. And all they did at that time was to give you a shot of morphine to kind of deaden the pain. It wasn't unusual for her to be in bed for days. So we were all out of the Army, and Charlie had already gone to California to live. And but before this, our number one, Bob, was born in 1945 while I was still in the service. And that was the 4th of March, 45. And Charlie had a son who was born the 2nd of March, 1945, Mike. So my mother got to show these two boys off, and we had a so-called tailor tot. And she put both of them in that tailor tot and took them up through town, just showing them all over. Like it was one of the best wonders of the world. He was thrilled to death.
Do you remember that?
And
I remember that.
things really changed though after she died.
How'd Grandpa get on after she died?
Well, let's see, he was a widower for, I think, 29 years. Yeah, 29 years. He died June the 8th, 1974. He had a heart attack. And before this happened, at this time I was living in Des Plaines, Illinois, and I had kidney stone, and I'd had an operation in the local hospital for that. That was in 1974, May, and he knew about that, and I got home. He called me, and let's see, you were here,
Yeah.
and you were here. Were you here? All three of you guys were here.
That was just a
And you had
I was
visited
on-
him.
Yeah, I was on the way to Germany, and I had gone down there with probably, a week earlier?
Yeah, something like that. And you had Mike with you.
Yeah.
Was Barb with you?
Yeah, let's not talk about that.
Oh,
Mike's
Yeah.
mother.
Yeah, she was.
she was. Okay. And he called me, and you'd only gotten back a day or two, and he wanted to know when I could come down and visit. And I told him the doctor said I couldn't drive a car for about a week after the operation. And I said, just as soon as the time is up, I'll be down. And he said, don't wait too long. So he knew that something was going to happen. So, I don't know, it seems to me like it was just a day or two after that I had a call from Nancy's husband telling me that he died. And so, Jack, you took me down here,
Just getting ready to leave.
huh?
We were just getting ready to leave to go back to Nebraska.
Yeah. Yeah. It wasn't just you and me and, well,
And Mom.
and Mom,
The
yeah.
three of us.
Yeah.
Oh, we went down there.
And you went too.
Gary drove me down. Because I had to be back here like in 2 days to catch a plane.
Yeah, because Terry and Mike's mom stayed here with all
Yeah,
the kids.
and the kids and everybody else stayed here.
Stayed here.
And Charlie came in. Of course, Bill was there. Yeah. That was a sad time. Yeah.
Well, let's get off of the sad times and back up and Go back to when you left home.
Well, I left home in April 1937.
What day?
Yeah, what day?
Monday.
What time? What day?
Well, with a little research, I could tell you
I
that.
can't even remember what year I did stuff.
This is the first time I had a job away from home. And the minister at Presbyterian Church in Franklin, he and I were good friends, and we used to visit a good bit. And he had two brothers that were store managers for F.W. Woolworth. One was in Cleveland and one was in Detroit. So he talked to his brother in Cleveland, and he learned of a store opening from a stockman. And so told me to come up. I had a job. $17 a week. And
That was almost what you made at Walt Boyle.
I found a place to live right on Lake Erie. The store was on 185th Street in Euclid Village, suburb of Cleveland. And I went up there on the train all by myself with my suitcase. And I had room and board, $10 a week, so I had $7 left.
Good career move.
Good thing they didn't have a Walmart then, and you wouldn't have had any money left.
Well, see, that was in April 37.
So you're 19 years old.
And I think it was around November that I got transferred to a store in Detroit. This was Depression time, and
Guy makes $17 a week and they transfer him.
then I made 18 there.
Well, I'd go too.
At least you had a job in those
And,
days.
you know, while I was working there in Cleveland, I got acquainted with a guy across the street who had a auto repair place and kind of a car dealer too. And one day he told me that he had a 1929 Model A Ford coupe I could have for $135. I said, well, I can't pay for that. He says, well, you just pay me whatever you can every week. Now, this was a handshake.
And he had an extra $7 a week at this point, right?
Yep. I bought that car, paid for it. And this all took place before I got the transfer to Detroit. And,
Did you eat at all?
huh?
Did you eat?
Well, in those days, there was a drugstore just a few doors away that, well, I had room and board. So I had breakfast at this house, and sometimes I could have lunch if I wanted it. But I'd go to this drugstore a lot of times and get an egg salad or a ham salad sandwich, 15 cents, and a Coke for a nickel. And that would be my lunch.
$1 tip.
Or
Dollar
in
tip.
the evening, no, you didn't tip those days. Evening, there was a restaurant there I'd go to once in a while, not all the time. And I could get a good meal for a quarter. They had slot machines there. And I remember I put 2 quarters in the slot machine one time. a lot of nerve. I didn't hit a jackpot, but I hit 20 quarters.
It looked like a
And
king
you
for a
walked
while.
away.
I walked away.
You wouldn't meet a car payment.
I
The
took
car
the-
payment.
I took the winner off the machine and walked away. Then I had a guy came around to the store selling chances on I think it was the last four numbers of your Social Security on the treasury balance or something. And if you ever hit it, you'd win a new suit. And I hit it. And I got a suit. It was a green. It was pretty flashy.
Green suit.
Well, anyway,
I can't even picture you in a green suit.
That would be a dark green, right?
Is it still upstairs in your closet?
I don't know what I ever did with that. Anyway, in Detroit, business was terrible. And this was on Michigan Avenue, which is known as Automobile Road. And I didn't stay there very long. They transferred me back to another store in Cleveland, 125th and St. Clair. And that was a nice store, a nice manager. I was an assistant manager now. And I was making $19 a week. And I trimmed the windows and took care of displays on the store, in the store, and whatnot. And that manager and I got along great. He was a great guy. The manager in that first store, 185th in Euclid, yeah, he thought he was God's gift to women. And he got to messing around and doing things with one of the sales girls. And I knew what was going on. Somebody snitched on him.
And that was the minister's brother, right?
No. I didn't go to that store where his brothers were. And, well, I got along with this guy too, but he was something else. Anyway, the superintendent walked in one morning real early before I even got there. This guy was gone. Fired him. And we had a new guy come in. He was from Ohio. And I think that this was either his first or second store as a manager. Larry Burchin. And he and I were good friends. And I remember one time I trimmed the window for him. This was a New Year's window. And God, I must have been there till 1 o'clock in the morning. And he was there too working. So I finished the window, was leaving, and he gave me an extra $5 for the good worker. Never forgot that. And I always kept in touch with this guy. He and his wife had me over for dinner one time, one Sunday. They had one son that I know of. And we would write back and forth. And he answered me. And one day in the Tribune, I saw that he died. This was in 1973. I don't know what he died of, but he was retired. And when he retired, I saw him one time after I left Woolworth in Halloween, 1939. And I was with wherever, and we had a meeting in Cleveland, and I called Woolworth District Headquarters there in Cleveland, and found out where he was, and he was in charge of new store openings, and they told me where it was, and I went down and knocked on the door, and they were having a meeting in there, but somebody came to the door and wanted to know what I wanted. I said, I wanted to talk to Merchant. And so I went in and sat at the fountain. And after the meeting was over, he came over and he says, how in the hell did you get in here? I told him,
Had a key.
yeah, we had a nice visit. But when he retired, they moved to Asheville, North Carolina. And they had a place in Florida. I don't remember where that was. But I wrote his son. Told him I'd like to meet him sometime when I come through there. I made one effort and nobody was home. So I guess I should have written him earlier. But when he retired, he was president of Woolworth.
You should have stayed with Woolworth. You'd have been vice president.
Yeah, who knows?
When you left Woolworth, is that when you went to wherever? Or
No.
what'd you have in between,
After I went,
other than the Army?
well, I was in that second store in Cleveland. Then they transferred me to Norwood.
Oh, and I know what happened in Norwood.
Yeah,
All the plot tickets.
that's where I met your mother on a blind date.
Eating a carrot.
April the 23rd, 1939.
What time?
It was in the evening. It was a Sunday. And so then they transferred me from Norwood to Lansing, Michigan.
Jesus.
And
2 years.
This was a big
It's $23 a week now.
2 sales floors, 1 and 2, and I was in charge of the second floor. And this store had 10 windows. It was on a corner. I trimmed every damn one of those windows. And the manager would come up to me around closing time and say, Ayres, put in such and such kind of window. I didn't know what kind of inventory he had or anything else. He says, you can figure it out.
What was this, like the first day?
First day? No, I was there. I don't remember when I went to that store, but I walked out on him after Halloween. And but after I'd finished the last window, I used to work there until 11 o'clock at night and come back at 7 in the morning, trimming windows. And I met this guy at the soda fountain, and told him that the windows were all done. He liked my windows. I says, I'd like to have a chance now to learn something else. And he says, you'll do what I tell you. And I says, no, I won't. What do you mean? I says, I want to learn other things about running the store. He says, you'll do what I tell you. I said, goodbye. And I walked out. And I kicked myself in the butt for not informing the superintendent, because I knew him too. He was a nice guy. He was in Cleveland, and I should have reported that to him.
Were you a manager? Theoretically?
No, I was assistant manager.
Is it too late now? You think to make that call?
You were assistant manager, but all he had to do was trim windows.
Yeah, that's what I did. Anyway, I was making $23 a week then.
How'd you know?
Yeah.
I was too far away from Norwood anyway, wasn't it?
Yeah.
How long did it last
Kind
up
of
there?
drew me back anyway.
Yeah.
So I went to Norwood and got a job in a factory down there that made headlights and tail lights for cars. I forget the name of it. It was close by. And then I got a job servicing jukeboxes. And that was mostly at night. I'd go over in Kentucky or around Cincinnati when they had problems with the jukeboxes not working and stuff. Some of them I could take care of, and once in a while I'd run into one that I couldn't figure it out. But this was for a Jewish family that owned this business. And they had something different. They had a jukebox. No music. You drop a dime in, and a girl would come on the line, and you'd give her a request to play. And back at the office, there's where she'd be, and she'd play that record. That was something else.
Real high tech.
Like a phone?
Then Uncle Sam came along and got me on the
Saved you.
21st of...
He saved you.
Huh?
He saved you.
Yeah.
Made you an officer.
And this guy died that owned this business, and I was in the will. I think I got $25. That's what I was making a week, $25. And I bought a 1940 Ford Coupe for $750. I've still got the papers on that.
Did you get all the options on that? Trim a wiper?
And,
Seat? Steering wheel.
so I went into the service 1 week after we were married. We were going to get married after the war, but we changed our minds. So that was that one.